Where we get to learn a little bit more about the musicians behind the music. And tonight our guest, of course, Mr. Chris Potter. How's it going, Chris?
Going great now.
Right on, right? Thank you very much.
You guys were thinking about staying for the second set, or are we hanging out for the second?
I think we're gonna kill it.
We like to keep it relaxed.
Where that came from.
I know that line in the front. Now, here's the thing, first and foremost, I want to thank you very much for all of us here on behalf of Chris's Jazz Cafe, because as most people may know, Kurt Rosenwinkel was supposed to be here tonight, but due to reasons beyond our control, he wasn't able to make it out from Germany. and Chris wonderfully stepped in and did the action for us. So, sir, thank you very much.
Thank you.
But no, but Kurt, on you. Now, there's a
Let's talk
room.
about Kurt.
Well, he's not here. We can't talk about Kurt.
He's not here, we can talk about it.
Now, there's a rumor going around the bar that you were actually born in Chicago.
The bar knows, yeah.
So, now,
Yeah, that's where I was born. We moved when I was maybe 4 or so I don't remember that much about it from being that age. But,
well, where did you move to?
Basically grew up in Columbia, South Carolina.
Now, what was that like?
Well, I don't really have anything to compare it to, so it was, for me, it was actually a great place to grow up, and there were some great musicians around, when I started getting into the music, and I'm extremely grateful for that. I made the move to New York when I was 18, kind of as soon as I could. And,
Well, that makes sense. There's a little bit of a gap there, though. Because when did you start playing music yourself?
I started playing when I was the saxophone I started when I was 10.
Tenor saxophone. And you also played piano and guitar as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of messed around with that. Like, whenever I see an instrument as a kid, I just go and they didn't have to do anything. But
No
worried
introduction.
about me for a couple hours. Just like, okay, he's fine. Trying to
See,
figure out the chords.
that's a beautiful thing. They just put me in front of a television all day. But give it a second. I was getting to it. Knock it off.
Sorry, MC. That wasn't me.
I know it wasn't you. I know it was the one behind you. So why the saxophone? Shut up!
I thought you'd never ask. I don't know. I think it's from hearing my folks' jazz records. They trying to remember what they had. They had Time Out with Dave Brubeck group. So I heard the sound of Paul Desmond. They had some Miles records with John Coltrane on them. They had some Charles Lloyd records. They like not a huge jazz collection, but enough to kind of get my ear, like, because I didn't know what anything was, because they actually had a bunch of just all kinds of music. They had Bach and Joni Mitchell, and I remember there was a record of gamelan music and blues and just all sorts of stuff. And I didn't know what anything was. I would just put it on the record player because if I liked the cover, So somehow the saxophone grabbed my ear, and I bugged them until they got me one.
Now, what pulled you into jazz at that point? But like,
I think it was probably from the saxophone,
Mm-hmm.
And there actually were some local musicians who came to my elementary school, So I'm definitely like you can see that if kids are exposed, you never know.
That's the beauty about education right there. Now, here's the thing though. After high school, you hightail it out and you head to New York. Now, what made you make that decision in the first place?
It just seemed like that's where I needed to go to kind of grow, And I'm glad I did it then when I was naive enough to not know any better. I just dove right in, and it was amazing. It was 1989, so there were a lot of folks still working that maybe aren't with us now that I was really lucky to get the chance to see and sometimes to work with.
Now, what was that experience like to work with them and like sort of really build your chops, as it were?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's one thing to kind of know the records and the changes and know how to plan it, but like being on stage with Ray Brown, I'm like, okay, this is how he organizes the set. This is the kind of things he says. This is just hearing him react in real time rather than hearing him on the Bird records. It's a kind of an education that there's no real way to explain it. There's no words that necessarily need to be said.
Right.
But for a young musician, you're just sitting there soaking it all in.
That's a beautiful thing because you have people that are on you and like keeping you in time, and it makes you better.
Oh yeah, Yeah, I mean, the whole secret is to have the chance to play with people that are more experienced and at a higher level than you are. That'll raise your level. I've found that time and time again. You know, I've been very, very lucky to have the chance to work with a lot of folks that help me out.
Now, what brought you to Philadelphia after time?
Well, a gig.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
I mean, that's what gets me out of the house.
It's a beautiful thing, you know. It's like work is the best way to get out of the house, I feel. Because well, first off, you have to pay for the house, number one.
If you want to have the house, you got to get out of the house.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the balance that I'm not always too keen about. What's coming up next for you, Chris?
Well, actually, next week there's a tribute to Chick Corea at Jazz at Lincoln Center.
Yeah.
So I'm going to play a few tunes on that.
Now, we talked about South Carolina for a little bit. You got there when you were 4. Is there any cuisine that you actually miss from South Carolina?
Is there any what that I missed?
Food that you miss from it?
Oh, the barbecue. Yeah, definitely.
Now, okay, we're going to talk barbecue for a second.
Yeah, because it's the. I mean that's the area where it's kind of the mustard base.
Mm-hmm.
Like they have the sandwiches with the mustard base, the pulled pork, with the coleslaw on the sandwich.
Yeah, I'm with that.
Maybe the hamburger bun. Oh man.
Get out of here, Texas. Get out of
There's
here,
nothing wrong with
Kansas.
that. See, and it also takes less plates to make it, you know. Just smaller plates, put it on top, a lot less stuff to
It's
clean.
all your food groups in one batch.
It's all going to the same place, my mom used to say. Well, Chris, thank you very much for being with us, Doctor. We're going to let you take that break and get ready for the next step. Hey, you have a good product. You're up.
Thank you.
Now, friends, I'm going to have to apologize because I